we're going to get started. I am delighted to see a great group of people. This is going to be a conversation, but will also involve you moving with us. So, those of you who don't know me, I'm Deborah Davidson. I'm the director and founder of Catalyst Conversations. And I'm really pleased to have you all here this afternoon. We are very grateful to be hosted by WUCAT here at the London Arts Center, and I want to extend a big thanks to Dean Bridget Zolt and Lesley University for helping support this program. I'd like to thank the Cambridge Arts Council, who is our family partner and fiscal agent, as well as the Catalyst Conversations Advisory Board. And also, it's exciting to be part again of the Cambridge Science Festival. This is our fourth year. Catalyst Conversations was founded in 2012 to open a critical path of dialogue between the arts and sciences. We present artists from many disciplines whose work resonates with science. We're very interested in connecting art and science through programs, educational outreach, and public events like this, which demonstrate the conversation and synergy between art, science, and technology. And so, as I said, this is our fourth STEAM program and our fourth collaboration with Cambridge Creativity Commons. So this afternoon, we're excited to discuss and experience moving our minds and to demonstrate how dance and science can foster creativity. Choreographers, dancers Peter Dimuro, my far left, Danielle Bazinet, and PhD candidate dancer Ashli Polanco will demonstrate how the movement of our bodies can help us understand the world around us. And you will literally be part of the conversation because you're going to be moving, not just sitting in your seats. So the three dancers will answer the three questions posed by Kyle, and each speaker will take the lead in the movement expressed by one of the questions. That will become very clear very soon. It will be the impetus for all of you to move, and then if you're in the mood and the spirit, we'll continue dancing, and we'll have reception of cookies and juice. So, as I said, I'm Deborah Davidson. About 4.5 years ago, I had the idea to bring together artists and scientists to talk to each other, and that's what this is today.
Thank you, Deb. I echo what Deb said. I'm very excited to be here as well with our fourth collaboration, Move Your Mind. And I direct a program here at Lesley University called the Cambridge Creativity Commons. My name is Kyle Brown. In partnership with the Cambridge Public Schools, working in and out of school time to bring creativity through the arts to the students and teachers in Cambridge. If you have any more questions about what that is, please ask me after, and I have a little brochure up on the back table. But without further ado, I'd like to get into our program, which means introducing these wonderful presenters we have here, and they're going to do it the best themselves, so I'm going to pass the mic to Danielle.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danielle Bazinet, and I'm a dancer and choreographer and teacher. And I spend most of my time teaching at the Sage School in Foxborough, Massachusetts. You might have heard of it. It's a pre-K through 8 school. And we have a big STEAM program and a very big arts program. We spend a lot of time doing arts integration. And I also adjunct at Bridgewater State University, and I teach dance education courses as well as some intro to dance classes. And those two jobs combined have really energized my love of teaching and my love of dance. But more than that, I love curriculum, and I love to write curriculum, and I love to integrate the arts as much as possible with other subjects, particularly dance. And when I was in graduate school at NYU, I wrote my thesis on dance and science. And I just think that when you move it, for some of us, most of us, we understand it better. And I think that that's really key in teaching, and I think it's just key in life. And you're going to hear a lot about that today as we talk about how the connections can be made through movement. So I'm very excited to be here, and I'm going to pass the mic on.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashli Polanco. I am a second-year PhD student in chemical engineering at UMass Lowell. But prior to grad school, I went to MIT. I got my degree in chemistry. The last thing I expected to major in, because I did not like chemistry before that. But where did dance come in? I loved to dance my entire life. I loved performing and moving. I started off doing martial arts, actually. I did karate and taekwondo for 10 years, started at the age of 7. And my favorite part about martial arts was getting up on that stage, doing a kata with the best of my ability and just wowing everybody in the audience. And when I was around 17 years old, I decided, you know what, I want to pursue dance. I have this skill of being able to control my body, do martial arts. I think I can apply it in the same way as dance. So I started dancing and never looked back. And when I went to college, I joined a lot of dance teams at MIT. Surprisingly, they have a really big dance community. A lot of scientists and engineers love arts, and they love theater, they love dance. So I was very welcomed in that community. When I graduated, I wanted to continue dance, and I wanted to continue it in a way that I could implement science, similar to Danielle. So in 2014, some really good friends of mine from college and I started a nonprofit organization called Gique. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this name before. It's a unique way to spell geek, but it's really to break down these stereotypes of what it means to be a geek. Like, why should it be something negative, be really, really smart? Why should it be made fun of, be really smart, when it's really cool that you know all these discrete things about the world, and you also have this passion for arts as well. So Gique exists to inspire and educate youth. That's all of you guys. And STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and we do so by running community programs like this one. We've done this program that I really love, is near and dear to my heart, called Science Can Dance. We've done this event throughout Cambridge, Boston, even in San Francisco, and we actually have 5 Science Can Dance workshops coming up this summer. All right, this summer they're totally free. All right, and they're all related to STEAM. So the first one is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. They're all on Saturdays coming up this summer. So if you go on Eventbrite/Gique, GIQE, you can register for all of those workshops. So keep that in mind. I'm done with my introduction. Here you go, Aaron.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. How are you? I always get a little nervous talking. I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands quite a bit. And we've just talked a little bit. If you could do me a favor, if you could just just turn and introduce yourself to somebody you don't know yet. Just shake their hand or wave or do the fist bump or something like that. That'll make me feel a little bit more at ease. I love it. I created a monster now. I can't do it. And we're going to bring our introduction to a close in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. See, I'm using mathematics and dance. So I'm Peter Dimuro, and I have a couple of hats that I wear, as a lot of us do in the science world as well as the art world as well. I'm a choreographer, and I've been making dances about 35 years. It's hard to believe. And I'm a humanist, so even like when some of you were waving at each other or a little touch or how people are leaning on each other, these are the kinds of things that I find very fascinating for choreographic material. And so my father was a cop and an investigator, and so at times I feel like I'm investigating life to make movement. Right now I'm very interested in making very, very small dances and very, very large spectacles. So we're making a series of dances, for instance, at the Gardner Museum next year that might happen on tabletops with small, actually with dinnerware. So you might come and be part of that, as well as big spectacles, 3-hour improvisations where we're dancing on a visual art sun piece that was made by an artist, and that changes as we go through it. And we do work on stage as well. I also work intergenerationally. People in my company, current company, are ages 20-something to 60-something. My main job for the last 15 years before I came back to Boston was with a company called Lesley Dance Exchange. and our age range there was 23 to 70 something, but we often work with people as young as 3 months dancing with their mom or dad strapped on their bodies, which is really fun, and as old as about 104, 105 we got moving. So I continue that tradition, and I just feel like dance is everywhere, so why not in the science world? I also run the Dance Complex, which is right down the street in Central Square. It's 7 studios now. We opened our 7th studio on the street level, so for the first time in over 25 years, you can now see the dance that you used to hear only. The drums were playing above us all the time. And it's been a real pleasure to come back to Boston and keep up with that. So that's it, I think. You'll find out more about us later. Sorry. Microphone is mine.
Great, thank you so much for sharing so much of yourselves. And like all of us, like Peter said, if you have any other questions after the end, please stay around, dance a little bit, talk to them. We'd love to have you here. So I'm going to launch into the first question. Like Deb said, we have 3 questions with some movement in between, so hopefully we can have a little fun. And the first question is, how do you make something? In this case, a movement. How does an idea manifest? How do you research or investigate the movement?
Well, I'll continue my intro in a way there. So you hear that I like human movement in that way. So as an example, if you just freeze right where you are, freeze, don't move. Don't move, stay still. Stay still. All right. And now just change where your eyes are looking. Right. And then turn your head. That's great. Move a leg. That's great. Raise one arm slowly above your head. And drop it quickly. This is very exciting. This is how I make dances. I do very little of it. One of my dancers is here, Kara, in the back row there. And in my most recent dances, I rarely make up very little, maybe 2% of the movement. And what I do is ask you to move for me. And so sometimes it's just on physical reaction, just like you just did. It was kind of beautiful, huh? What's it? Yeah, the sound. Yeah, it's good. So that gets me excited, and that's part of my process. Sometimes I ask deeper probing questions, and usually a dance for me is about a question first. The dance I made last week in Colorado was a journey dance, and about how we sometimes keep coming back to the same landmark moment in our lives. And so in that dance, they kept coming back to the same position, the same tableau. Tableau is kind of a still figure, several times during the dance. So that was an answer to a question. It's hard for me just to make up a dance that's just beautiful, although I'd like to think some of my dances are beautiful, but there has to be some kind of probing question with that. Another example is this summer I'll be making a dance to the music by Aaron Copland. And he's a composer who's no longer living. But 70 years ago, Agnes DeMille, a famous choreographer, commissioned him to make the music called Rodeo. And she made a story ballet about a cowpoke and a cowgirl and them wanting to get together and dance around. And so we're changing that idea to use the music to think of what does it mean to be a pioneer. And so all of a sudden that question then spurs on reactions, responses in the dancers, and it allows me to make a new work that doesn't copy Agnes DeMille, but makes something new, and that's part of my goal.
So I'm going to build off of what you just talked about. Thank you for that. We, at the Safe School, we spend a lot of time working with the students to make the connections that are within their lives, but also their curriculum, as I talked about, the need to make those connections with the curriculum, and that's something that I'm really interested in. Agnes DeMille and Aaron Copland, a great example. Aaron Copland, after he worked with Agnes DeMille, then teamed up with Martha Graham, and they did a piece together called Appalachian Spring. And that piece is about the pioneers in moving westward and westward expansion, which is a huge topic in 3rd and 4th grade curriculum in history. So we use that as an example to get the students interested in how does an artist react to something that's going on within the world around them. And then from that, what's going on in their own world and what can they create as a piece of work that expresses what's happening in their world. And so we'll look at events that are happening, and it could be something very simple as they moved, or they changed schools, or they made a new friend, or they started a new activity. But from there, we're connecting to what an artist has done, how that has impacted history, and then how their artist work impacts their life history, or how their life history impacted their world. For me, it's a very similar process. I mean, I think that if you're teaching something, you have to live it and believe it too. So what I teach them, I want to model, and I want to make sure that it is what I do. Most recently, the last piece that I did with my 7th and 8th graders is we just sat around and we talked about, all right, what are you thinking about? What's impacting you right now? And the topic that was really weighing on their minds, this is going to be a big surprise, the election. And so we researched and we looked at what that meant to them. And we went to a song, and we went to John Mayer's work, and we just kind of dissected through this piece. And even more than the song itself, it was really important to look at the meaning of how they felt in the movement. And then that turned into their piece that they presented to the school. And I think that you can't create something unless you feel something, and you can't feel something unless you connect to something. And I think it's just this constant cycle. And any work that I've ever done has always been through that cycle.
Okay, so I'm going to answer the question, but then we're going to get into the first movement, which is really exciting. So I'm going to stand up because I want to get my body warmed up. So, all right, so can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, sure. How do you make something? In this case, a movement. How is an idea manifest? How do you research, investigate?
Okay, so the majority of the choreography that I come up with now, so it's different than when I was in college and I was on a hip hop dance team, and we had dance routines that were themed around different shows, or we would take a piece of art, whether it was a TV show, a movie, or something, and then make it into a dance routine. So it kind of told a story through our dance. So we researched that show, what was the plot, what were the characters, what were they trying to convey in the story. And we would pretty much act it out. So it was kind of like a dramatic type of hip hop dance. Now it's totally different what I do with Science Can Dance. Science Can Dance is all about taking these complex science ideas and breaking them down to a level where everybody can understand no matter what age you are, right? And breaking it down to like manageable parts, whether it's steps, stages, pieces, whatever it may be. So you might be asking, why is this graphic on the board today? That's the topic that we're actually going to dance today. It's called free radical polymerization. It sounds super complex, but before I get into that, let's just talk about chemical reactions in general. Everyone's heard about a chemical reaction, right? Raise your hand if you've heard of a chemical reaction. All right, can somebody give me an example of a chemical reaction? You have one? What's the example? Vinegar and baking soda. What happens when you mix those? It bubbles up.